In this lesson, we're going to cover the ForEach command in MongoDB. First, of course, make sure your virtual server is up and running, and then you can go ahead and minimize your VirtualBox manager as well as the actual server itself. I'm going to SSH into my server here, and I'm going to start up Mongo. And right off the bat, I'm going to say let's use ADB. I'm also going to start over here and attach, let's look at the ADB database, let's look at users, and then let's take a look. So, the ForEach command. Most languages have a for loop, or a ForEach loop. PHP has it, Java has it, JavaScript has it, Python has it. Almost every language I know of has some type of ForEach loop. And it's just that. You get a set of results, and then you loop through them. So, here is a task. We want to go ahead and add an age field of 0 to all users who do not have age. Well, we can find them by running this. And for the moment, I'm just going to go over here and paste that in. We're going to say do the query where the age field exists is false. And if I run that, we'll see that there are users here that we imported that do not have an age field. Well, we could switch that to true for a moment. And there's only 16 that do have an age. And you can see here it is a numeric field by the fact that it's not in quotes. Okay, so over here I can say db.user.find, and let's do a count here. See if that works. So you have 97,299 rows that do not have an age field. Well, if I want to go ahead and add an age field to all of these fields, one of two things I can do. One is write a lot of update statements. But, of course, there's got to be a better way. So what we are going to do is run that db.user.find where the age field does not exist. But instead of doing a count, we're going to say for each function data. And what this is going to do, it's going to do a loop. It's going to take, let's do this. I'm just going to say remove the count and run it. Well, that's ugly. Let's add on a pretty. Okay. So what is the for each loop going to do? Well, it's going to take the first document and then it's going to put it to this piece of code through data. So if I say over here like data.id, I'm getting this object ID. If I was to say data.firstname, I would get Jane. That's for this document. Because it's a for each loop, it's going to run this function for every document returned by the find. So once it does it on the first one, then it's going to do it on the second one. Same type of logic. Third one, fourth one, and so on and so forth till it goes through all 97,000 records. So what are we going to do inside of the function? Well, we're going to say db.user.update, and we're going to update where the ID field is equal to data.id. So we're going to update whatever record we're looking at, whatever document, and then we're going to say $set age to 0. Now, I'm going to get this out of presentation mode so I can copy and paste it. And if I run that, it is running. It's going to take a moment again because it's looping through that 97,000 documents and then modifying each document by doing a set on that age field. So this may run just for a little bit, and then when we come back we're going to rerun that first command where we say over here where exist is false. We'll change this back to false. And we should get nothing back. Alright, let me do that again over here. Previously, when I ran this count, we got 97,000 records. We get 0. Well, let's take a look at those records then. Let's get rid of that. And we can see there's the age of 0, age of 0. And if we keep going, all of them are age of 0. So, normally if this was SQL, what we would have to do is write a query, pull the data out, and then do a for loop in some other language like PHP, like Python, like C Sharp. And then as we loop through it, execute another update. What Mongo has allowed us to do is put it all inside of one call. So we can actually do a for loop inside of the code. Here's another example. This is a very helpful one I like. We're going to go ahead and do a find on the location collection. So let's bring up location. And one thing about location is this was imported through some type of external data from an API, as well as a bunch of CSV files. And when it loaded, you notice rating is a numeric. It's not inside quotes. But look at price. Price is in quotes. And you may have noticed if you try to get an average or do some type of summation or any aggregate function on a numeric field, it works like it should. But if you do the same thing on a string field, well, think of it this way. If you take a numeric 1 in JavaScript and say numeric 1 plus numeric 1 equals, it'll come out with 2. If you say numeric 1 equals string 1, what you end up getting is 11. And let's go ahead and just take a quick look at that so everyone understands here. So if I say 1 plus 1, JavaScript comes up with 2, which is correct. If I say 1 plus 1, well, JavaScript's going to say, oh, this is a string, so what you want me to do is concatenate these values together, and we end up with 11, which obviously is not what we want. So what we need to do is make sure that price is actually a number instead of a string. And here's how we can correct that. I'm going to say find each of them, and we're going to do an update to location. We're going to update the record where ID is data ID, so we're going to update the, again, document we're looking at. But I'm going to create a new field called price num, and I'm going to set it equal to parse int. You may or may not have seen this in JavaScript, but parse int is a function in JavaScript to change it into a numeric. So data.price is, of course, this price. So let me run this. And there is a lot of locations. So again, this will take just a moment. Here we go. And let me rerun my query here. And what we'll see is, hey, price is unchanged because I didn't modify it. However, I now have a price num on each one of these. And that price num is always going to be equal at the current time to the price, except that it is a integer or a decimal instead of a string. So price remained as is. It is a string of 2, but we converted and then created price num by doing that for loop. So there's lots of different things you can do with a for loop. It's actually quite useful. Hopefully we'll be using it more in the future. I believe you will be using this in a lab. So